It's the Onstage Podcast with Chris Robert. Welcome to the Onstage Podcast, and we have our special co-host here, Kylie. How's it going, Kylie?
I'm pretty well. How are you doing, Chris?
Not too bad. Kylie Montigney from Talk of Fame Podcast is now in her 128th episode. And who did you have on your, I think recently you had, who was that?
Yeah, I had so many guests recently, but like for some examples, I had Savannah Dudick, Jake Wan, Sarah's Hobbies, Caroline Smith, and so many, but those are kind of some examples. But,
And when you're going to have Hugh Jackman on, you said that he was your best friend.
Hopefully in the future. Hopefully in the future.
Please.
I'm dying. I'm praying
Yeah.
the next couple of months. So,
Well, I will make you a deal. You can co-host with me when I have our special, well, Anna Kendrick, but we'll have our special Brittany Snow on from Pitch Perfect. I want you to have Hugh Jackman on, and I will co-host with you.
Yeah.
Deal?
Deal.
Yes. Well, we had a big snowstorm here the other day. We had over about a foot of snow, maybe half a foot of snow here in Toronto, Canada. Any snow where you are?
A little bit. We got some flurries and a little bit of snow yesterday, but it's all gone now. It just took it over with rain and stuff yesterday.
Yeah.
So thankfully,
exactly.
we got all gone.
Well, it's kind of funny because I work from home Mondays and Thursdays and Fridays. And Wednesday night, we were told there's going to be a big snowstorm. And it happened this morning around 6 a.m. when I got up. It was a really bad snowstorm. And I'm like, I'm so glad I don't have to go in today. I was just working and playing with the cat, enjoying my day. And how about you? You had to get up and go to work or go to school, I guess.
I actually do online school, so I'm home every single day usually.
Nice.
But, I know
yes.
some people, like a lot of schools near me, basically every school near me had I left school at like 10 a.m. yesterday because of the snow. So I know a lot of schools have kind of been closing and stuff, but they're usually during snowstorms. A lot of schools are closed, but I'm still in school, so that's
Excellent.
the big pressure of it.
Yes. And everyone, please subscribe to Kylie's podcast, the Talk of Fame podcast, and also subscribe to my channel as well to get more content. Today, actually, we say this evening, down below and backstage, we have, who is it, Kylie?
Jessie, Biondi, and Melissa LEellen.
Yes. And they are from Creative Global Entertainment, Inc., and they have a podcast called Reimagine Podcast. Let's introduce them. Hello, Melissa and Jessie.
Hi. Hey, guys. How are you?
Good. How are you?
Not too bad.
We're wonderful.
We're so excited. I think this is going to be so much fun.
Yes,
It's so much fun.
It's very rare that we get to be on the interviewee side because, as you said, we have our podcast Reimagine Success, and we are always interviewing people. So for once, we don't have to be under the pressure of asking the questions.
Yeah. I get to literally feel that all the time with my interviews. I literally do interviews every day. I'm like, oh my God, I want to do it. Like, I wish it was the other way around.
Yeah. So it's really cool that the tables have flipped.
Yeah.
I've actually been on 2 podcasts myself, and it's basically if you want to get anything out of me, you have to press that end record button, and then I'll tell you. No. I've been on
and the
2
real
podcasts
talk
so
comes
far.
out.
Yeah.
I've been on 2 podcasts so far, and I had to also turn the tables and say, okay, now I'd like to have you on the podcast. And they went, what are you going to talk about? Well, I was just on your podcast, so I'd like to have you on my podcast. But what do you want to talk about? I'm like, okay. So today I mentioned to them, listen, you're postponing a chance to be on my podcast. You know, we've been talking about this. I was on yours in September. So anyway, I'm not pushing people, but we really appreciate you, Melissa and Jessie. Thank you very much for being on here.
Yeah, we're so excited.
So let's ask, we like to ask, what should we ask? You want to ask the first question? Let's move on.
Yeah, sure. So I want to start with Melissa. And you have started Creative Global Entertainment in 2009, which is now a brand elevation marketing company. Like, what kind of made you decide to make a transition to make it a marketing company?
That's a really great question. So back in 2009, when I actually started Creative Global, I was in acting, I was doing some modeling, I was doing some more experiential marketing. So I wanted to be taken seriously by not only the production team and feature films that I was working on, but in the modeling world. A lot of times you're not really taken very seriously. So I wanted to be taken seriously, and I started a company actually that was more on the product placement side of everything. So I worked with Tyler Perry on Meet the Browns, and I was able to pull Chevrolet onto as product placement for Meet the Browns. That actually helped me. Yeah. So that actually helped me get the money in order to go to LA, which was my dream. I wanted to go to LA. I wanted to test out the waters there, not only for acting, but marketing and modeling and everything else that I was doing. So I got the money, I went to LA, and then I got bigger and bigger fish. I was working with Coca-Cola, Gold Peak Tea, Makeup Forever, McDonald's, Delta, Toyota, you name it. I've worked with them. I worked on the big Life campaign when I actually came back to Georgia with Coca-Cola. It was really cool at the Fox Theater, all the directors and the executives and the owners. So it was a really fun experience, but where we are now is kind of a complete rebranding of the company. And that all happened because of COVID.
Mm-hmm.
I know you hear that all the time. COVID. But it actually helped me kind of stop and reflect. I was at home for a while, all the jobs. I was in experiential marketing, so I was constantly doing events. I was traveling around the country. I was in Miami and LA and New York and Maine. So I was all over the place. And I took this opportunity to figure out really where I wanted Creative Global to go. During that time, I met Jessie.
Yeah. So 2020, we met, started dating immediately, and got married 1 year later on our 1 year anniversary.
Yeah.
And what was really cool is that I had a different background. I wasn't in entrepreneurial spaces. I was a middle school teacher at the time, teaching chorus and orchestra, but I'd had a lot of experience doing graphics and videos and music production and that sort of thing. So I had a completely different skill set. And so then we got together and started putting our creative juices together.
And we really rebranded the company together. And now it's so cool because Creative Global, we have a team of 12 since last year, really. And we've grown the company. Now we have over 10 clients. We're about to go into a waiting list, which is unheard of in 6 months. And we're really just growing this thing using our hearts. It's all, we want companies to be successful, and we are wanting to really rebrand them in the way that they should be. And that's the only thing. Owners of companies, they're in the weeds, they're doing their vision, they're doing their passion, and yet things like social media and marketing and branding and administrative and things like that fall on their table all the time. And then all of these things are on their plates, and all they want to do is the thing that they love, that they're passionate about. So what we're wanting to do is help them create a team and help them create people that will be behind them and behind their back and have their back.
Well, that's very interesting. Yeah. So I bet you if both of you never even thought of this company, you probably wouldn't have met.
Well, we met outside of the company. So we met before I came into the company. So
we actually met through my comic book, if we're going to be honest.
Yeah.
So I wrote and created and published a comic book series called Deadly Crimson. And my artist was actually his best friend. And he was also, I've known him since I was like 13 years old. And so he was doing all the art for my original comic, and they were best friends, and we kind of got introduced that way.
Yeah.
It's so cool.
My apologies, everyone. My cat loves my podcast equipment, and she'll just like do whatever it is just to get my attention. So Hannah, stay down there.
Gotta love cats.
Well, now she went on the radiator because of the heat. Well, that's excellent. So what do you see as the future of this company?
Oh, wow.
Oh, we see a lot of things. We can't disclose everything right now, but It's going to be a household name pretty soon. We're really working towards creating a community. And when I say just community, we're really wanting a community that supports each other and lifts each other up, because in this world, there's so much division, there's so much hatred out there, there's so much that can actually divide you and not pull you together. So we're trying to create a community that actually pulls each other together.
And through that, we've actually started a movement that's kind of subsidiary of our company. And it's what we want to be our
it's going to be our charity,
our nonprofit, but it's called All Okay. And the movement is about being mentally, physically, emotionally, and spiritually okay. And if you're not all okay, then it's not okay. So this is our symbol. So it's called All Okay, and we're doing speaking engagements at schools and different events for different
an groups. AA meeting, which is really cool. Like we just really want to let people know that you are powerful. You are so much more than you think you are. And we have all these limited beliefs of what we think we should be, or we can only max out here. But to be honest, the sky's the limit. Not even the sky, the moon, the earth, the universe. Yeah. It's really whatever it is that you want. What are you passionate about? Go and do it.
And so it's funny because the things we're doing in business right now, we love them, we're passionate about them, but they're very small compared to what our dreams are and what our passions and what we see moving forward. And we really believe that what's coming in the next couple of years for Creative Global is just going to be huge, and it's going to blow everything out of the water that we've ever even thought about.
Yeah.
So we do have to keep a lot of that hush hush just because we're still working on it and fleshing it out, but we've got big plans. So keep a watch out.
Keep a lookout for CTE.
That's amazing, Jessie Malo. So yeah, I'm looking at your model. It's your vision. We just bring it to life. That's actually a perfect model because I remember a guy, he had this called Incredible Dreams, and he would go out and make people's dreams come true. But you need a lot of money for that. Like, I don't know, like it's your vision. We just bring it to life. So one of us had a vision. We wanted to do something. You are the people we would come to.
Yes.
And we would figure out how to make that happen.
Yeah, we would work on it. We would help you brand it. We would help you launch it. We do a lot of things on the back end. A lot of people know us for social media because, we go out there, we kind of help elevate a brand on a social media level, but really we're doing a lot on the back end. We're kind of helping you realize what are your goals? What are your Q1 goals? What are your Q4 goals? What is your 5-year goals? What's your exit strategy? So we're coming in and asking a lot of questions that these business owners, they're like, I don't know. And so that's actually our wheelhouse. We're helping businesses really develop what it is that their goals are and how they're going to turn their passions into not just, productivity or money or whatever they're working towards, but how are they going to turn that into freedom?
Yeah. You mentioned something there. Kylie, what do you think that exit strategy? What would that be? What would that mean to you?
Exit strategy. Like, what do you mean? Like, what do I see? Like myself? Exit strategy, or
so for an exit strategy, whenever you go into a business, you can't just say, "I'm going to work here forever." You have to have a plan. So whether that's to work there till retirement or until if you own your own business, then it's going to be more of, well, how long do I want to work here? Do I want to work till I'm 60? Right. Do I want to work till I'm 80? Do I want to work till I'm 40?
Do I want a franchise? Yeah. Do I want to give this to my kids? Do I want a business that I can sell and grow and sell? So there's a lot of things that you look at when you're starting a business that a lot of people don't think about. And a lot of times what you have to do is work backwards. So when you start a business, you want to say, you know what, I want to build this business for my kids, for my family. And so it'll be a legacy that I leave behind. And that is an amazing way to have a business. But you have to work backwards then. I need to build this up in order for me to be able to pass it along.
Or a young person like you, Kylie, who's thinking about going and starting her own business, you might say, you know what? I don't want to work for the rest of my life.
Right.
I want to build something where I can sell it when I'm 35 and then just live off of that. Okay, so now you know what you want to do.
Yep.
So now you have to figure out, okay, I'm 35. I have to have this stage of a company. So it has to be big enough to sell that I'm going to make enough money to live off of for X amount of years. So then, like Melissa said, you work backwards from that and you build your business according to what your goals are versus building your business, not having any goals, not having a clear vision of where you want to be, what you want to do. And then you just end up chasing all these rabbit trails because you're not focused. So the more focused you can be on what your business goals are in the future, the better you can build it today. And that's going to help you to be more creative, help you to make better decisions, and just help you to have a better time doing it.
And you have fun.
And so what we do is we encourage these business owners who don't think about these things to start thinking about that. And then we come alongside them and use our creative minds and our team's creative minds to make those things happen. Just look at what the steps would be to get them to that point.
Well, Kylie, you have a business sort of, right?
Yeah, I do. Yeah, like last year I founded an organization. If people know, it's called Power Girls. I started in June 2022. And it's dedicated to ending gender bias and inclusion in the media. And I'm basically in the branding. I'm making a website and doing presentations, workshops, research, one-on-one calls, and basically bringing more women empowerment to the media, business, sports, politics, etc. And I basically, in the next couple of months, I'm basically going to have many events and basically just bring more awareness to have young girls and women to look up to and to have mentors throughout the media and different aspects.
I love that. I love that.
That's great.
So we work with a lot of women empowerment and a lot of different organizations. So anything that you ever need, or if you would like a connection, just let us know.
Yeah, that'd be amazing. Thanks so much.
Yeah, we'll definitely like follow you on socials and share your stuff and help you, in any way we can.
Thank you so much.
Oh yeah, she'll definitely do that. She always follows through with what she wants to do, right, Kylie?
Correct. Yeah.
You have to be a just do it person. If there's something that you're thinking about doing, what I would recommend is just go and do it. Go and do it. Who cares if you mess up, if it's not the best? The first thing that you ever do in something it's going to be bad. It's not going to be the best thing ever. But when you do it the second time, guess what? It's going to get a little bit better. The third time, it's going to be even better. And then all of a sudden you're doing it in your sleep and it's just so easy. And and now you're thinking, wow, this thing that I started that was so hard 6 months ago is now so easy. And it's just by going out and doing it.
Exactly. I love that.
Do you believe in serendipity businesses? So what it is? So I don't know. I forget his name, but what he did is he was 1 year, I think it was 20 some odd years ago or 10 years ago. He was standing in holy ground, standing in his living room, watching people fight over the wishbone during Thanksgiving. And he thought of an idea. So what he did is he decided, well, if people are going to fight for wishbone and only one person or two people can, why don't I just, so what he did is he came up with plastic wishbones and he became a multimillionaire. That's what I call serendipity.
That's
business.
a great idea, though.
Yeah,
that's a really good idea.
I mean, our kids were our kids were fighting over the wishbone. Like, who's gonna pull it?
He made he's now a multi-millionaire. But what do you think people like Steve Jobs and Bill Gates? I know Bill Gates and Paul Allen. Paul Allen was the one that was gone, and Bill Gates is the one that was there when they came calling. That's why it's not Paul Allen, but Paul Allen himself is a multi-billionaire as well. To just coming up with a business and making millions and just going to someone who's starting up a business like you, wonderful people, and helping their vision to bring to life. I was going to ask what is that again, Kylie? I was going to ask that question.
Like, what is I think you're asking what is kind of the business strategy of being like Bill Gates or something like that, kind of getting kind of the high prospect of like the money and running a huge business?
Well, I think that, and hopefully I'm answering this right, but I think that during the preparation of building your business, I think you have to have a clear strategy of what it is your vision is. And that's where we help a lot of businesses. Like our motto is your vision. We bring it to life. And it's really, what is a clear vision that you have of your business? What is your business? And what we kind of do is figure out what the vision is first, and then figure out all the rest of it. Also, having mentors who are successful in your industry, your line of work, where you're going in, having a mentor that is way better than you are is one of the best ways to do it. Having mentors, having teachers, growing, learning, trainings, just keep growing and keep doing it. That's what Bill Gates did. That's what all of them did. All they did was read and read and read and read and learned and learned and learned. And while they're building up 3-4 businesses that are failing, they're growing and learning and reading. So a lot, if you go and say Mark Cuban, actually met with him and had a really amazing conversation. He is so business minded, but he actually had so many businesses that failed before he had a business that actually launched. And he had so many people that took advantage of him because, he was a decent human being and he was just looking out for people. And a lot of people took advantage of him over the years. And what you have to do is you just have to brush it off and keep going. So at the beginning stages of anything that you're doing, just make sure that you know the vision is very clear and you're constantly working on it and growing, going through courses, going through classes, doing trainings.
Now, Kylie, your empowerment of women, is that just something you want to do on the side, or is that something you hopefully get paid for at one point?
I think like for now it's kind of like a side job, like kind of something I want to do for now and just help other people. But I think in the future, like I just like want to make it basically like make it for everyone. If they can't pay, it'll be free. Like if right now I'm just gonna be available for everyone, but in the future it's probably gonna be money based, so for a couple of things. But for now it's just basically gonna be free for everything for now, so everyone can kind of learn and go along as we go.
Okay,
That's amazing.
And you grow too, like as you're learning how to do it and run a business.
Yep.
Yeah.
Well, Kylie might be the youngest one here, I believe, right? Melissa, you're not 12 or 13. No.
Probably, yeah.
Kylie's going to be 17 in May, so but still being young, she doesn't need really an exit strategy, or she doesn't have to worry. Like if her in women empowerment or whatever business she does in the future, when she gets to that point where she has to give the reins over to someone, do you have that preparedness to hand the reins over? Like what if something, I don't want to be mean or anything, but what if something happens to Jessie or something happens to you, Melissa, or both of you? Do you have where you can just hand over the reins and get someone else to help?
Oh, yeah.
We have a full team. We have a team of 12, and there are amazing, creative, bright minds that we are building this thing that it will not need us.
That's the goal, is that we just hand it over.
We don't want to be working every single day doing social media, doing all the things that we're doing. We want people who are very passionate about it, who are growing themselves. And eventually that is our goal, is to turn it over.
Yeah, because we want to be free to pursue our passion projects. So, Melissa has the comic book that she's talked about. I have a music career where I produce and record and sing and perform and all that good stuff. We also both really love public speaking and our podcast and that sort of thing. So we want to be able to do the things that are in our hearts to do without being weighted down by a day job, even if it is our own company.
Right.
So we are building our team in a way that we can then hand it over and we can have the freedom that we need to do the things that are in our hearts to do.
Yeah, and it's so easy to engage with people. I mean, like we've never met, but I feel like I've known you forever. And engaging with someone as young as Kylie, I need that because I got nieces and nephews, and I need to not only engage with the young generation, engage with the older generation, but when it comes time, if I want to come up with a business, I can't be like a vacuum cleaner salesman. I don't know if any of you remember those back in the 70s.
Oh yeah.
Hi, brush salesman. vacuum cleaner salesman like Kirby. My friend worked for Kirby Vacuum, and he would knock on the door and say, "Hi, I'm a Kirby Vacuum here." And then you engage with people who might not be nice to you, like at marketing, when marketing calls. Why are you calling me at 6 p.m.? You want to sell me your air conditioner or whatever. And but with engaging with back and forth, I said, "Hello, Mr. Biondi. We really like your product. Let's do this. Thank you, Melissa. We read about you. We like to deal with you." Stuff like that. And for Kylie and you and me, we want to engage with people because you never know. One day we're going to have something fantastic, and they may hear and say, "Whatever happened to? Hey, he's got a business now. Well, I haven't seen this guy in so many years." And they might be not only your friend but also your client. The one thing I totally want to ask you, Jessie, is about your music career, that you're actually singing and you have an album. Tell us more about that.
So in my music career, I just go by my name, Jessie Biondi. I know it's so clever. But I've been solo for a couple of years now. I used to play in bands, and just over the last several years, I've done a solo project called Jessie Biondi. And since then, I've released 2 full-length albums and 3 EPs. One of them is a meditation album. But I do alternative independent rock with kind of an electronic feel mixed in there as well. But I really classify my music as conscious music because all of my lyrics and the feelings that I portray are about being better as humanity. Really encouraging people to look inside themselves and realize, and we've talked about this already so many times, but realize how powerful we are as humans, how much strength we have as individuals, because we've been lied to for so long by the powers that be, telling us that we're weak, that we need their support, we need their help, that we have to have their medications, that we have to believe all the things that they've told us to believe, when in all reality, we as people, if we could just band together and realize how strong we are, man, we'd be unstoppable, and this world would be a completely different place. And there wouldn't be so much division. There wouldn't be so much hatred. There wouldn't be so much hurting, because we would take care of each other, because that's what humans should be doing. And that's my goal in life, is to bring a message of hope to people, that there's so much more than what we experience in this crap world we live in that's just getting crazier every single day. And we have to realize that at some point this needs to stop, and that we need to take control, which my first record is called Taking Control of our lives. We need to take control of our circumstances, of our emotions, of the way we feel about things, of the way we live our lives. Take control of all those things, because we have the power to change, which is the title of my second album, Power to Change.
What? It's not your. Don't you have an album called It's Your Vision, and the next one's We Just Made It?
Those are my next. That's going to be a double record. A side is It's Your Vision. Back side is We Bring It to Life.
When you mentioned that that you want to have a message in your songs, that reminds me, you talking about the world and how we got to get used to each other and help each other, whatever. I'm thinking of that song Dreamer by Ozzy Osbourne. There's a big message in that song. Big message.
Yeah.
And also I'm looking at you two, and I noticed that, like, Melissa, you don't have any interest or notion of music, do you?
I do. I love music. I actually have a Spotify playlist called Manifest Greatness, and it does have some of Jessie's songs on there as well. But I love music that inspires. And while I'm cleaning, doing the dishes, while I'm doing whatever it is around the house, I'm constantly listening to music. But my type of music is things that lift me up, things that inspire me to be better. And so, my music, I guess, is all over the place. I love so many different things. But I am actually one of Jessie's. Well, I am Jessie's.
She is my biggest fan. It's crazy. She comes to my shows and she sings louder than I do on every song. and she's always pumping the crowd up and getting people excited about stuff. And
if you want to come dancing, then just come to my table. We'll be dancing all night.
Yep,
I'll be
so
there.
great.
I'll be there. Like,
Yeah, I'll definitely be there.
Outside of the conscious music, I write love songs as well, and they're all directed at her, obviously. And so it's so great just having her in the crowd. Every time I do a love song, I can just look right at her and sing right to her, and it's the most
and you
perfect
go,
thing.
"Oh, Melissa, this is for you."
Yep. Like, this is for my wife. Taken, ladies.
Yeah, I used to love that. In terms of like empowering music, Melissa, like, have you heard "Man, I Feel Like a Woman" by Shania Twain?
Yes. Actually, we met Shania Twain.
We actually got to see her do that.
Yeah, we got to see her. She did a small little.
So we were on a Netflix show.
I guess we can talk about it.
Is it out yet?
I don't think it's out yet.
It's not out yet. We're on an upcoming Netflix show called A Man in Full.
Yeah.
And Shania Twain makes a guest appearance on that show, does like a mini concert in the show. And we were in a featured couple in the scene during the Shania Twain concert.
But the cool thing is of course, she had to do this scene over and over and over and over and over and over again. So we got literally an entire day of Shania Twain singing directly to us. It was cool.
But she was singing, "Man, I Feel Like a Woman."
Yeah.
And it was funny because like they would cut the music and all of us that were in the crowd would just be like, ba ba da 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 da. And Shania was just up there still dancing. It was a lot of fun.
That's so cool. Like, I'm literally seeing her in concert in July. Like, I'm literally
nice.
Shania Twain's biggest fan ever.
Aw,
Music is really on repeat, and that reminds me. Before I jumped on this interview, I was legit listening to one of her new songs. So that legit reminds me.
That's so cool.
That's awesome.
Have you
Watch
listened to
the
new
movie, and you'll see her again.
Have you listened to the new Taylor Swift album yet, Kylie? You've been asked so many times.
A little bit. I listened to a couple of songs, but not like the full album. But I listened to a couple of songs though.
I'm a little disappointed.
Aww.
I was let down.
My best friend one of my best friends loves Taylor Swift, and she listens to her nonstop. So I literally get all of it.
I love some T Swizzle, right?
Yeah.
But
everyone needs some T Swift in their lives.
Yes.
This new record, I don't know what all the hype's about. I just don't. It's not her best stuff. It's I'll just leave it at that. But I was disappointed. I'll just go on record saying that.
Yeah, like every time I'm in the car with my brother, he'll literally kind of like jam to. I don't know if you guys heard our song. It's kind of like one of her first kind of country songs, and literally kind of jam on top of our Longslaw song. It's like
nice.
I'm not the biggest T Swift fan, but like her country music and stuff is pretty good because I'm a big country music fan. So
I cover Blank Space all the time in my sets.
Out of the Woods.
We are never getting back together is a good one too.
Oh yeah, that's a great one.
Who we've actually got into lately is Harry Styles.
Yeah, Harry Styles. I just did a cover.
I love that song.
I just did a cover on my all my
Instagram,
social medias
TikTok.
of Watermelon Sugar, and it was a lot of fun.
Really fun.
That's a good one.
You guys should check that out. Music Jessie B on all platforms.
I'm the biggest, like, I've been a fan of Harry Styles since I was a kid. Like, I'm a huge Harry. Like,
nice.
Yeah, he's amazing.
He's
I see
brilliant.
Falling all the time.
Oh yeah.
That's I like that lyrics where it says the coffee's out at the cafe. That's a good line. I like that one. But it's a good song. I sing a lot of covers as well. But I'm looking here and I'm going like, you got to be kidding. So you worked alongside Sandra Bullock, my favorite actress.
Oh, I love Sandra. Yeah.
Please give me a little story on that one, Melissa. You're holding out on us.
Oh boy. So when I first started, I worked with Sandra on The Blind Side. So I was one of the cheerleaders on the green team. And so we filmed at a school actually in Atlanta. And it was a lot of fun. It was a couple of days and I was literally cheerleading the entire time. I felt like I did not stop, but it was great. And after that, I ended up going to LA, and that's where I got more on production side of everything. And I really wanted to produce and create, and that was more of my passion and my vision. But I still love acting at the same time. So I still, dabble in it every so often.
Yeah, wow. And so was she nice? Because I was told that she was very rude to her fans. Is that true?
Okay, so you have to take this into consideration. A lot of times, if she's on set, if she's working on something and a fan comes up to her and asks for an autograph, she is going to be in a completely different mind space. She's trying to remember lines. She's trying to get in character. Maybe that character is upset. Maybe that character's mad. Maybe that character is, whatever that scene is. So you got to keep in mind that a lot of times if you're around an actor and she's on set or he's on set, and they have to be in that moment. And sometimes you have to stay in that moment in between sets and in between scenes so you can continue to keep getting back in that moment. Because if you're ever on film set, the scene is back to back to back to back to back, and you have to reset. It takes a minute to bring the camera back, to get all the crew back, but you have to be mentally in that mindset the entire time. You can't be like, now I'm, playing with all the crew and talking to fans and signing autographs, and then go right back into a scene where you were mad or angry or upset or crying. So I feel like that a lot of actors and actresses and things gets a bad rep from fans because maybe they're just in a moment, and there's a lot of things that happen in your life on a daily, right? And, you always want to be, of course, nice and friendly, but if you're constantly you're trying to eat dinner with a friend and you haven't seen them in so long, because think about it, if you're an actress, you're going to be gone for 3 months, 4 months, 8 months at a time. So when you come home, you just kind of want to chill and relax. And if you're eating out just keep this in mind, everyone that's listening, if you're eating out and you see your favorite person out there, just be respectful, because they have a life too that they're trying to live. And not always are they trying to be rude to you per se, but don't always take it seriously.
Well, before I ask you about Owen Wilson, I have something else too. You're right with that. Yes. Before I mention this about Kylie's experience here, I related to a story about a man named Jim. Oh yeah, amazing story about a guy who was on the beach of Fiji, whatever, and Tony Danza was lying with his wife and his children, enjoying the sun, and some guy comes around and says, "Hey, Mr. Danza, can I have an autograph?" Obviously, you can imagine the pain and the anger that Tony was towards it. So, listen, I'm here with my wife on a trip, But then another thing is, another story is Jacob Dylan, who is Bob Dylan's son, is also in the Wallflowers. He was just leaning against a wall at a convenience store, and a woman comes up and totally ignores him, walks in, does her thing, walks out, and he goes, "Hey, don't you recognize me? Yeah, you're Jacob Dylan. You're from the Wallflowers, right? Okay, well, aren't you talking to me, asking for my autograph?" "No, I know everyone does that, but I think that's just, you're like a human being, And he goes, "Wow!" And so he had a conversation with her, and he says, "You want my autograph now?" And she goes, "No, it's okay, bye."
You're just Jacob Dylan. You're not Bob Dylan.
Yeah, tell us about your experience as Hugh Jackman. Kylie, are you finished with that? Oh my God.
A little bit, yeah. Like I think the first 3 times I got that type of mood, but after a while I was like, okay, well, I think I'm used to that right now.
We're waiting.
So are you interacting with Hugh Jackman in some way? How so?
Yeah, so I am the biggest Hugh Jackman fan in the world. I've been in love with Hugh and his biggest fan for years. And I've seen every movie of his, every music, everything. So last year, he was in a Broadway show in New York City called The Music Man. And of course, being the biggest Hugh Jackman fan, I had to go see it. So I went to due to pandemic, it had to be replaced twice because of COVID protocols and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So I went to see it in May 2022, I think around that time, and it's always been my dream to meet Hugh Jackman. He was my idol. He was the reason why I became in this type of industry. You know what I mean? And I remember going to do his show for the first time. I remember falling in love with it, and I remember meeting him. And I was like, can I get a picture? And he's like, yeah. And we got a picture. And I started bawling. And then as time went on, I live in Pennsylvania. So it's about 2 hours away from New York City. So it's not that far from the city. And so I started going more and more. But then there's this person that I met. It was the second time I met him. And her name is Deb. Shout out to Deb if you're watching this. And she basically introduced me to him. She's been a fan of him for 19 years, longer than I ever was born. And she basically is like friends with him and stuff like that. And she introduced me and was like, hey, Hugh, this is Kylie or whatever. And he's like, hi, Kylie. And I'm like, inside dying, wanting to pass out, like losing it.
That's so funny.
And then I was like, oh my God, like I really told him how much he meant to me. I'm in this industry, like you're the reason why. And he's literally the sweetest human being. And I started growing more and more, and we started becoming good friends as time went on. I used to go every couple of weeks to the show in New York City, and with my father, and my dad used to get so bored of it. So,
that's awesome.
And
though.
so as time went on, we just became good friends, and he'll recognize me, ask me how I am, and he'll ask me how the show was, and we just became good friends. And I remember the last day of the show, I went down and I started bawling, and it was such a long day. And I remember the last time I was talking to him, he was leaving the show, and he gave me a hug for the first time. He gave me a hug and everything. I started bawling after that. And like, he's like the greatest blessing, and he's literally like the sweetest person ever. I know, like Melissa, you said, like not every celebrity is like in the moment. They're on the way to work, and they're not always in the right mind space. They're always like, oh, I need to focus on this. But like a lot of actors are like that. And for Hugh Jackman, he's like more nice, even though he's on his way to work. Like he will stop what he was doing to kind of greet his fans outside the door. Like I literally sat outside in 20-degree heat like before and freeze my butt off. And at one time I got sick in New York City while I was down there, and ended up was puking my guts out, but still end up going to the thing while I was so
wow. That's dedication.
Wow. Yeah, the dedication. So it's like he's like very grateful for his fans, and every show, like even if it's like 2 shows a day, he'll come out and stuff like that. Like he's like he just gives more attention than he recognizes.
Yes. I love that. I love humans who really recognize and are thankful for not only their fans, but their friends, their family, everyone around them. And that's the type of people that we are. We love everyone. And you know, it does suck that some people are like that, where they can't multitask or can't be nice while they're working or anything like that. But I love that Hugh, and there's a lot of other, celebrities who are just amazing humans.
Yeah. I gotta tell my story about when I was starstruck, because I don't get starstruck often, but I did this one time. We were on set for a Apple movie called Ghosted, and Chris Evans was there.
Oh yeah.
And so I'm completely straight, but Chris Evans is just a handsome man. I mean, goodness, like he is as good looking in person as he is on the big screen.
Melissa.
Oh no, he is good looking. I get it.
And so, and so, like, I was like as far from Melissa and myself to Chris, and we were, doing a scene, and he was walking by me, and after he walked by, I leaned over to Melissa. I was like, man, I really just wanted to slap his butt just then. And I was like, I know that I would be like blacklisted from all productions going forward. I would never get to work in this industry again.
But he would have a good, cool story.
Imagine the story. This is Captain America. You slap Captain America's butt. That'd just be wild. So that's the only time I've been really starstruck.
Yeah, I've never been starstruck in my life until I met Hugh Jackman. Like there's like you said, I never get starstruck. Like I literally do interviews with celebrities and stuff for a living, and like I am used to that atmosphere of meeting people in the industry. But like when I met Hugh Jackman, I was like, like I was like almost a year of the interviewing. I was like, oh, how bad could it be? Like I thought like, oh, with this like what I do, I thought like, oh, I can probably calm myself down a little bit. But, like when I met Hugh Jackman, I was like, it went up to a different level. Like
I love that so much, though. I love that you know, we have idols and we have people that look up to us, that inspires us, because Hugh actually inspired you to go down the path that you're on now. And if you didn't have that inspiration or that mentor or somebody you looked up to, then what direction, you know, would you have gone in your life? And I love that that there's people that you are going to inspire. There's people that we're going to inspire. Chris, there's going to be people that you're going to inspire. And it's just beautiful. It's so beautiful. So I want everyone to go out there and just make sure that you're inspiring those people that need to be inspired.
Yeah, because if you're not doing it, then who's going to do it? Like, and that's something that we talk about all the time, is that we all have gifts, we all have abilities, we all have things that we need to do for this world. Because if we don't, then the world is going to miss out on that thing. And we've got this thing inside of us that people need to experience, they need to hear. And everybody does. I don't care who you are. I don't care how low you think you are, how pointless you think your life is. You have something in you that the world needs to experience. And it's waiting for you to show it. And everybody just needs to figure out what that thing is and then chase it with all their might and just go after it.
And if you don't know what your passion is, if you're like, I don't know what's inside me, but they're right, there is something inside me, come talk to us. We would love to guide you. We have a full team, not just in our company, but outside of our company. We can help you, and we can help you guide you to your passions and what you want to do in life.
That's awesome. We'll both do that. But don't you feel that you want to slap Owen Wilson's butt, Melissa? No?
Almost did. Actually, we did do a little butt bumping actually in our scene. Funny enough.
I'm not really starstruck, but if I can, my main goal. Sorry, Kylie, to interrupt you, but my main goal is to get Sting on my podcast.
Oh, Sting
himself.
Okay.
That would be something.
Yes. Oh yeah. And I remember one of my family members was sitting at the movie festival in Toronto. Every year they have one, and guess who was sitting beside him in the audience? Sting himself.
Oh,
I'm like,
wow.
I wasn't there. Why wasn't I there?
You missed your chance.
Yeah. I'm not going to slap his butt. Don't worry, I'm not going to.
One of my favorite experiences was I was at the MTV Movie Awards, and I was sitting right behind Betty White. And
oh my, wow, nice.
Yes. And she was actually getting an award during that ceremony. And it was just so cool just to be around. She is so beautiful. She's such a beautiful human, or was such a beautiful human. And, you know, being around her and kind of chatting with her a little bit during the intermissions and in between takes was just really cool. And that was just a fun experience.
Yeah. Sorry, go ahead, Kylie.
I just say it was really cool. Like I remember, like I'm basically a big sports fan. I'm sure you can tell by basically my like wallpaper, but like I remember going to my first football game, and I love music. And I remember one of my favorite singers is Sierra. Like I'm a Seahawks fan. And her husband, Russell Wilson, used to be quarterback for the Seahawks, and he's my favorite player. I remember going to my first football game, like NFL game, and me and my sister are big Sierra fans. Her used to dance and sing all of her songs and stuff like that. And I remember like when I was like kind of like on the like railing type of thing to see if I can meet the players or something. Like I just try to see if I can meet the players. That's kind of what I do when I go to games, to see if I can meet the players and stuff like that. And I remember I was standing there with my father, and I remember her walking out, and I'm like, oh God, no. And then I remember putting my hand out, and I was like, oh, I'm just going to take a risk and put my hand out and see if she can slap my hand or something. And she did twice, and I'm like,
nice.
Oh. And I remember my sister got so mad at me for that.
That's a great.
It was an amazing experience, though, because like as much as I love her music, and I literally know like all of her dance moves, and like she inspires me as like a dancer. Because I do dance every once in a while. I do dance and stuff, and I'm gonna be dancing a lot in my new job, so that's gonna be pretty fun. But then like the way she lives life and her music and being an NFL wife, is so cool.
That's awesome.
I love it. I love experiences that we get to live life and just have experiences.
Oh yeah, have fun. Oh
Yeah.
yeah. Have fun. Yeah, I'm actually, like I said, I'm what do you call them? A Swiftie, I guess. I'm a Swiftie, but I also grew up with a lot. Like I used to be like Olivia Newton-John fan. I'm
I
sad
love
that she
Olivia
passed.
Newton-John.
Linda Ronstadt, Pat Benatar. Like my likes have actually grown a little bit. So it's like there's some people that I liked in the 70s and 80s, which I don't like now because I was so young. But now it's like I like Harry Styles, and I have a whole Spotify list of songs, and like you're talking about having songs that match what you're doing. So I have a playlist called Waiting on the Bus, or playlist in the car, which is like driving songs. So you just got to figure out what those songs are.
Yep.
I'm kind of wondering, Melissa, how, or just you, so you guys have the Creative Global Podcast and Reimagine Success Podcast and Deadly Crimson. How do you deal with all of this and the stress?
Oh, we have more than that.
Yeah, we have way more than that. That's just that's just a microscopic view of all the stuff that we're doing.
We have all of our clients, which are going amazing. Funny enough, we had to run out and take care of some client stuff before we came back home and jumped into this podcast. So we are constantly doing things, constantly growing.
Well, let me say this. We work a lot. And I say that not to say, oh, poor us, we work a lot. We're choosing to work a lot right now because we are building something that we believe in and that we want to see succeed. So we are in what most people call hustle mode. You know, we work long days, but the cool thing is as we're working long days, we're doing things that we love. You know, we're not at some stupid 9-to-5 job at a cubicle behind a desk doing something that we hate. So that way we can go sit in traffic on the way there and on the way home. Then after I finally get home after an hour's worth of traffic and I'm tired from work and I don't want to deal with my kids because I've just had a bad day at work. And so I just want to eat my dinner, watch a little TV, go to bed, and do the whole thing over every single day for the rest of my life. That's not what we're doing. We are doing the things that make us feel alive and feel passionate and excite us. And yes, for some people, it's just social media, but we're being creative. We're coming up with different ways to market these people. We're coming up with different ways to get these people's businesses out in front of the world.
And it's the same thing over and over and over again. And we have to make it completely different every single day. Like one of our client, Bullseye Burger in Flowery Branch, it's burgers. Like how many times can you create an awesome burger picture? Well, that's what we do.
Yeah. And it's so much fun to like have to be creative and to come up with these ideas and to do all this stuff. And so, yes, we're doing a lot of things, this weekend alone, this week alone, we've done several podcast interviews just for our podcast, plus this one. We, have taken care of all of our clients. I've got shows coming up that I'm getting ready for. We've got Comic-Con this weekend that we've still got to get ready for tonight because it's tomorrow morning.
Wow.
We have a panel this weekend as well.
Yeah, so lots of stuff going on, but we feel so alive doing it that it doesn't even faze us. We're up till 1 or 2 in the morning most nights working and just talking and like brainstorming. And we wake up energized because the next day we're doing more fun stuff that we love to do. So it's one of those things where, it's a lot that we're doing, but we love it.
That is so inspirational. Wow.
Like that's like the joy of like doing what you love. Like at some days, like I have like so much going on. Like you said, like it's like you have so much going on every single day and very exciting things. But when like it's just like not a normal job if you don't enjoy it. Like if you don't enjoy it, then why are you still working? But with people in this industry, if you're having a business like us and like or like a podcast like me and Chris and both of you and like with doing so many things, like you choose to do many interviews, you choose to run a business. Like I choose to do interviews mostly every single day and run a business, do work for a magazine, work for a baseball team, like do so many things because that's how you grow. Like that's how if you're not doing anything, you don't grow. And that's the point of like me and Chris were talking about this earlier before we started recording, that like if we don't do podcasting as much as we kind of want to, or if we don't really do as much interviews. And if you want to do more interviews, that's how you keep growing. You know how to figure out more questions. And for me, I grew up with cousins in my family that do journalism from a local news station. So I had like some people in that area, but then like for me, I was a shy, like anxiety type of girl, and I never knew I would do podcasting because I was so shy. But then like if you overcome your challenges, then you will grow as a person, not only for yourself, but for your career itself.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because the more that you do, the more experiences that you have. And that's really what life is about. Oftentimes, I'm like, I say that I have about 50 past lives just in this life alone, you know, from the things that I've done and experienced in. But it's helped me grow, because a lot of times what happens is we'll bring on a client and it's, say, a software company. And I'm like, oh, yeah, years ago, I worked with a software company, and now I'm able to take that knowledge. And back then, I'm like, why am I working for this software company? Let's just say, for example, but I say that everything that you do in life is all experiences. So that way it'll get you to the next level, wherever that is.
Yeah, that's exactly right. And even in podcasting, especially when you're talking about people from software companies, and I remember that. Well, same with podcasting. Like most of my guests I got from other guests who recommended other guests because they enjoyed it so much. And then those guests help you with your music or whatever. So we're all connected.
We are.
So
We are
I
better
mean,
together.
yeah. So now we found you, and we'll be able to use you for something.
Yeah.
Washing our car or cleaning our house. Melissa, my shoes need to be
Oh
put
boy.
away.
We have lots of free time to do all of those things.
Yeah. We have lots of free time to do that to our own house.
Yeah.
Right.
Oh, sorry. Did you have anything else to say, Kylie?
Oh, not at all. You can go ahead.
Okay. Yeah. I want to ask about what is this 21 days in the Panamanian Jungle? What happened there?
Ooh, Melissa.
Well, I happened to be on a Discovery Channel show called Naked and Afraid. And that was 21 days in the Panamanian jungle with no food, no clothes, no water,
Wow.
and just out there to survive. And do you think I made it?
No.
Oh, really?
I really think you did.
Come on, Chris.
Come on, Chris. What's the motivation
Come on,
here, man?
Yeah, you made
Chris.
it. You wouldn't be here.
I did. I made it. I made it. 21 days. Actually, my partner tapped out, and I was out in the jungle by myself for about 8 days.
And he was a Marine.
Ooh, really?
Yeah.
A Marine. Okay.
Yeah, it was
Wow.
challenging. It was a very challenging situation. We literally had monsoon rainstorms every single day. We had puma cats stalking us, howler monkeys chasing us. You know, it
wow.
was. I had jungle riot on my feed. It was a really bad situation overall. But I walked away, and every single day I would wake up and I would say, fear is not an option, because I knew if I let fear sit in even a little bit, with all these snakes and poisonous frogs and, you know, tarantulas, like it was crazy jungle. And so if I knew that if I let fear sit in at any particular moment, I would tap myself out. So every single day I would wake up, I would have my hot water, like coffee, and I would tell myself that fear is not an option, and to keep going, that I'm a survivor and that I'm going to make it all the way to the end. And I would tell myself that every single day, all day long. It was kind of my mantra. So now when I go out and do public speaking, one of my big things that I say is fear is not an option. If you go and you do it to the best of your ability, then fear is not an option. Just go out there and do it. So I did that every single day. It was tough. It was a challenge. I mean, I came back, I was a little sick, a little depleted, but I'm alive.
Well, that's amazing. I was just talking to Kylie before we were on pressed record, is that I lost 23 pounds of keto. And the stuff that you have to do, like I was losing a pound a day, but the stuff you have to do, I had to totally give up sugar. And I do low carbs and I do a lot of exercise. I lost like 23, 24 pounds. So I'm almost need another 5-6 pounds before I'm at the weight I was 22 years ago. But it is like I did survive, of course. I did survive. And when I get to that certain point in my weight, am I going to go back to eating badly? No, because I also found out my high blood pressure was very high. So I had to cut out salt. Now it's low and I'm doing okay. And then I know. And so yeah, and I work for some good people, and I enjoy working from home. But as the time goes on, you get to meet people, and then they may be able to, oh, I hear that you're a singer or whatever. Oh, maybe you like to work on an album or not, because I'm a tenor myself. And I meet a lot of people on, like I said, on podcasts who are in the music industry, and we're going to try to work on something. But basically, yeah. And one day I'm going to get Hugh Jackman on my podcast. But anyway, so what's going to happen?
Kylie would love that.
Yeah, look, I'll be dying for Chris to make me co-host in this one.
Yeah, of course. She's my co-host when I need her. She's awesome. You should go and check out Talk of Fame podcast. Subscribe to that one.
Yeah, definitely.
Hey, subscribe to that, people. You heard him, Chris. Subscribe it.
Yeah.
Yes.
She's good. So I was going to ask you about Jessie, your music too. Mentioned that you play an instrument, guitar and a cello. Do you play the guitar like the cello, or do you play the cello like the guitar? Or do you
Either way, so
he actually plays like 25 instruments.
Well, like 13.
25. Can you name them all?
13. So guitar, obviously, bass, guitar, bass guitar, then upright bass. 2 different instruments for those that don't realize that: cello, violin, viola, mandolin, ukulele, banjo, piano, drums, assortment of percussion instruments that I'll just roll into one, and then voice. So because your voice is an instrument as well.
You and Steve Martin together. I want to see you both playing. Steve
Martin
is excellent. You ever seen him play?
I have. He's brilliant. But if you hand me anything,
Kylie?
Yeah, I would say like that's like that. I need to see that happen though. Like,
if you hand me anything with strings, give me 10 minutes and I should be pretty proficient at it.
Wow!
So I've been playing cello for.
He's classically trained, actually.
29 years. I've been playing cello.
Nice.
I started actually playing music at 3 years old. My father started teaching me basic keyboards, but he taught me very poorly. Which actually hindered me later when I tried to learn piano for real, because I had a lot of bad habits to break. And so anyway, but it started training my ear and everything like that. So I 3 years old keyboards, 10 years old cello, 13 started messing with guitar, fell in love with that. I was a real nerdy kid when I was young, had no friends, and so I would just play music 5-6 hours a day, just nonstop, and I got pretty good pretty quick. And I was always the top of my class in orchestra. I got the orchestra award every year, went to college on an orchestra scholarship, walked in as a freshman, first chair, kind of thing. So it's always been that passion of mine. And then I taught middle school orchestra and chorus, so got very proficient at all the instruments doing that. And just always had fun picking up a new instrument and having a good time with it. And what I like about it is, with the music that I write, I get to use everything that I know and really just throw it all in there, because I self-produce everything. So if I want to throw a whole cello track on there, I'll throw a whole cello track on there. I don't care. If I want to do a glockenspiel, I'll put a glockenspiel, whatever. Like I can just put whatever best suited for that song. I can pull from my arsenal of different experiences that I've had and use it for whatever sound that I want to get. And then I can synthesize anything that I can't do physically.
Yeah, and the cool thing is he actually creates all of our custom music for the podcast. So our intro, our outro is all original custom music, and he does that for our podcast clients too, for Creative Global Podcasting. So all of our podcast clients that come in and need some help with their podcast or need some help producing it, we actually create custom music for their podcast. So that way it's not music out there that just everyone is going to hear all the time.
Yeah, great example of this is, there's a good friend of ours who has a podcast, and he was with a company, or is with a company, and they offered him a list of music that he could choose from, and all of it he said was terrible. He's like, just pick whatever you think is best. And they picked like this piano-y music, which was fine, but he's this like cool Latino guy and has a lot of like pep to him and stuff, and it just wasn't his jive at all. But that's what they picked for him. And then he goes out and he's watching TV and he hears the song from his podcast on a commercial. It's just stock music that anybody can use. It has no value to you as an individual. It doesn't do anything for your brand. Versus now he's got this great Latino beat that's completely original that I created for him specifically for his podcast with his specifications in mind. He gave me a couple things that he liked, and then I custom tailored something in that genre, in that style that was appropriate for him, for his podcast, that wasn't too distracting for the intro and outro, that he could talk over, and it was just perfect for him. And he fell in love with it, showed it to all his friends, and everybody's like, thank God you now have something that fits
that
you.
represents you.
Yeah.
That's inspirational. Wow. Because like I mentioned, I'm a tenor, but I always thought of picking up the violin or the flute. I bought my friend's expensive guitar, and then 2 days later I gave it back to him because I just couldn't do it. But I enjoy singing, and obviously the voice is a string instrument.
Oh yeah.
But I might pick up I play the recorder, but I also might pick up the flute. I love the sound of the flute. James Galway plays a mean recorder, but he plays the flute. Oh, just a lot of that's wow. So any band could call you if they're missing like a glockenspiel person, or they're missing a keyboard person or drummer. You could do, because you could do it all.
Yeah.
You know?
I mean,
even a triangle. Ding.
Yeah. I've played with a lot of people just off the cuff, which has been kind of cool. Just getting to sit in with a bunch of people. It's funny. I've actually joined a couple bands by doing that. They need somebody last minute, and I sit in, and then it's like, oh,
do you want to stay?
Yeah. The most recent band that I was in was a Bon Jovi tribute band called Shot Through the Heart. Now I wasn't the lead guitar player or the lead singer in that, but I was rhythm guitar and backup vocals, because those backup vocals are screaming high. And that was a lot of fun. We tour around a lot and do that. Those guys are still going. They're called Shot Through the Heart, and they're doing fantastic out there. But now I'm more focused on my solo stuff. You know, like I said, I write and produce all my own music, and that's been really fun for me, because I used to have to go to a studio, and, you know, I had a certain time limit, so I had to have everything mapped out before I ever got in there. Now my method is I just start writing and recording at the same time. So I'm just literally coming up with it as I'm recording it, and it gives me this freedom to be really creative and expressive, and it's a lot of fun.
And we have a studio, so now he's able to like expand the time and figure out exactly where he wants the song to go.
Does your wife give you a little bit of advice or inspiration?
Oh, definitely.
Jessie?
So the title track on my record, Power to Change, the chorus is got this like kind of cool beat part that's like, gotta move right now, gotta choose right now, we've got the power to change things. And it's like, gotta love right now, gotta fight right now, we've got the power to change things. Okay, but all those gotta's, when I first started, I was just gonna say I was just doing gotta move over and over. I wasn't changing the words there, and she was like, you could do more with that. You could make that better. And I was like, okay, what, like how? She's like, well, try this. And so I tried it, and I was like, yeah, you're right, that works. And then there's another song that I had that she's like, I hear another little part over top of that, and she couldn't really express what she was feeling, but I came up with something based off of how she was explaining it, and it changed the whole song for the better. So though she's not actively like playing parts or singing with me or anything like that, she's as much a part of my music as anything. And we talk about the lyrics, we talk about the themes, we talk, you know, a lot of my songs are love songs directed at her, so she's definitely a muse in that regard. And she's so supportive. So, you know, if it's late at night and I'm laying in bed and, you know, we're trying to go to sleep, but I've got a song that just popped into my head, which happens often, and I need to I need to come down to the basement and record it. She's like, okay, see ya. You know, like she doesn't give me a hard time about anything. She's at every one of my shows, and she's the unofficial member of Jessie Biondi.
Yeah. Like Kylie, it would be like Melissa and Jessie have a fight, And he goes, "Oh, what do you expect me to do?" And she goes, "You gotta move, gotta move. You gotta move." Okay, bye.
Like you have the power to change things.
Yeah, use one of your songs against you. That's what we'll probably do.
And she would. She knows all the lyrics.
Yeah. So people from, I guess, Reimagine Success podcast is that on YouTube, or is that just it's
It's everywhere.
podcast actually? It's everywhere.
Well,
Spotify.
it's not on YouTube anymore. Our recent episodes
Okay.
aren't on YouTube, but any other streaming platform, Spotify, iTunes, Amazon, Google, wherever you consume your podcasts normally, that's where you'll find it. And Reimagine Success comes out every Thursday for our standard listeners, or you can subscribe to our Patreon, and then you can get, this is why it's not on YouTube, because on our Patreon, we have video episodes that you can get on Tuesdays instead of Thursdays. So 2 days early plus a video episode that's not just audio, which is a lot more fun to watch us because we're real goofy.
We do a lot of funny
we're goofy
faces
too,
all
right?
the time.
Yeah. We have a good time, and it just makes it more interesting to watch a podcast than to listen to
Yeah.
it. So we offer that for our
yeah.
patrons for $5 a month if you go to patreon.com/creativeglobal.
Yeah, that's not that. Yeah, sure, love that. I found out that you're actually collaborating with other artists. Now that didn't include Shania Twain, of course.
No, I didn't get
Anchor
to collab
Bud
with-
either.
At
Like,
the end of
Yeah.
collaborating, you know to go to call.
Yes. Yes.
Who'd call you?
Yeah, I love working with other people. I've played cello on a lot of albums, which has been a lot of fun for me.
Nice.
Different people have needed it in the past, but just producing and collaborating with other people. It's like we say with everything, a team is always better than an individual.
Mhm.
Even though I'm a solo performer, it helps for me to have people around me that can inspire me, because you might hear something in my song that I never thought of, and I'm like, oh wow, that's fantastic. Like Melissa's ideas that she gives me, like I was too close to it. I couldn't see it. So it's better to bring somebody in from the outside that's not as close to it as you are, because artists, we write stuff and we're like, this is my baby, this is my sweet precious, and then somebody's like, I don't like that, and you're like, what? You don't like my baby? And it's like we get all offended and our feelings are hurt because this thing that we created isn't worthy to please the masses, and we just have to be less
We have to realize
tight-holding to it.
that everything is not for everyone. We're going to create things that's not going to be good for everyone
Or
out
just
there.
not good.
Yeah.
I'm okay with saying I create stuff
Yeah.
that's not good sometimes. I've got a stack of songs that I've written that's like that thick. No
Mhm.
joke. Like
Wow.
literally a stack of songs that thick. Notebooks upon notebooks of songs that I've written.
But you have
No-
enough to put on an album.
Yeah, but they're all crap, and that's why they've never seen the light of day. The ones that are on my albums, those are the good ones. I think it was
We're to
I want to say it was Paul McCartney said that for every good song he writes 10 terrible ones.
Oh.
I could be.
Actually, Paul McCartney told me he loved me at a show one time
Oh yeah.
in the audience.
Oh,
Anyway.
really?
Oh, that's right. I
Yeah.
heard. Oh, so you're the one that slapped him in the butt. That's what I knew.
Hey, fun
We were
fact,
at Fenway
Matthew told
Park.
me you love me, so that's actually a coincidence story.
Yeah,
So
you
that's
Nice.
switch away around.
That's awesome. Yeah, I was at Fenway Park and I was kind of up close and it got a little quiet and he was playing piano and it got a little quiet and I was like, I love you. And he looked right at me and pointed and said, I love you too. And I was like, ah. And then everybody around me was like freaking out and was like, he just told you he loved you. I'm like, I know, I heard it.
That's awesome. Yeah.
It was
I
really
can
cool.
see the love and the trust that you guys have. That's amazing.
Oh yeah.
Such art.
Real love.
We
is-
love
Gotta
each
move.
other.
Gotta move.
No, seriously,
but-
it's funny that you say that. Like we spend 24/7 together all the time. Like
Wow.
literally.
I mean, we work together. We work with all of our clients together. We're running a business together. We are building a home
Wow.
together. We do a family together.
Yeah, and I've got a song on my latest record, and it's the last track on it, and it says, I could spend every hour of every day with you and I'd still want more. And that's because that's
Wow.
how I feel. Like I'm with her every hour of every day, and I'm like, is there a way we can spend more time together? Like can we can we not just like
Wow.
be inside of each
Gee.
other's skin somehow? I don't know. Like it's
That's
like one of those
beautiful.
things where when you find the person that completes you in a way that no other person can complete you, and it's real love, not the love that you think you've had in the rest of your life, it's just something different. And we are very blessed to have found each other, because man, our lives have been wild since we got together, and
in a good way.
Yeah, in a great way. And I know this sounds really sappy and really bad, or like whatever, but I don't care. Like people tell us all the time, "Oh, you're just in the honeymoon stage," because we've only been married a year and a half. But I swear to you, come back to us 50 years from now.
Yeah,
We'll be acting the same exact way as we do.
Phase.
We'll still be dancing in the kitchen. We'll still be smooching all the time. And, like all about each other, because we are intentional about making sure that our relationship is healthy and be exciting. We go out of our way to do things with each other, to have experiences, to love life together, and to encourage each other to chase the things that each other loves.
It's amazing. Sorry, Kylie, what was that you wanted to say? I think you had another question, I think.
Yeah, and like I know like you guys love working each other and stuff like that, but like what is it like co-hosting with each other on the podcast is
it's so much fun.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
We feed off of each other.
We finish each other's sentences.
We work with each other when someone doesn't like, okay, so whenever you're a host of a podcast and sometimes just things go out of your head and you're like, I was gonna say this. We will literally finish each other's sentences, so that way the podcast just keeps going.
Or if you have a guest that's not real exciting,
or it doesn't talk a lot, like you ask them a question and they're just like, yes. And you're like,
I don't know if you guys have ever experienced that on your podcast.
Yes.
But those difficult
I
guests,
had to end it early.
Yeah. And so sometimes we just have
we
to
just banter.
Yeah, we gotta take over and like make it interesting, because we are doing a show.
Yeah.
You can't just let it fall flat and be like, sorry everybody, our guest was terrible. No, you gotta take over. And so who better to do that with than your best friend? And when I say she's my best friend, I'm not saying that like, oh, she's my best friend, she's my wife. No, like I talk to her about stuff I don't talk to my best guy friends about. I talk to her about all the things I talk to my best guy friends about. And that stuff is weird and it's out there, and it's like
it's guy stuff.
It's guy stuff. And yet I talk to her about it because she's my bud. Like
I'll hang with the guy stuff. It's all cool.
So I mean, it's when you can co-host and do everything with your best friend and live with your best friend and get to love your best friend, it's the best.
That's amazing. So who would you like to mostly collaborate with?
Oh, me?
Ooh.
Oh goodness.
Yeah.
If I could choose somebody to collaborate with, I would choose either Harry Styles, Chris Martin from Coldplay.
Good one.
Honestly, I would probably do a song with Bieber, which surprises me to say that, because for a long time I didn't care anything about Bieber, but his new stuff
is really
unbelievable.
He has matured, unbelievable. His song Lonely speaks to me on a level that just broke my heart for him, because it was so deep and so vulnerable and so raw. And the things that he was saying, like I can see that as an artist, as a young kid, coming up in the scene, and people just making fun of you instead of realizing that you're sick and that you have a problem, and like just laughing at you when you're doing stupid stuff and getting arrested. Man, that broke my heart listening to that. So yeah, I would totally do a song with the Biebs.
I'm a believer.
I'm a believer.
Trying to think. I would do a song with T Swizzle if she would want to do one with me, even though I didn't like her last album. We'll just go back to some of her older stuff. Like, hey, just get it together, girl. You were great before. Come on, give me that magic.
Wow. I like.
I'll definitely see one with Taylor Swift or Bieber. Definitely.
That would be great.
Cool. I would love it.
Yeah, I'd like to do a collaboration with either Josh Groban or Andre Bocelli. Or I wouldn't mind. Like I used to like Shakira, but I like her now because she's got that really cool song that they use for these cool dances. With the, and
Hips Don't Lie.
Yeah.
The hip so like no, the other one, the newest one that she has is really good.
I thought you meant like the oldies one. I was like, oh.
No. Back then I liked whenever, wherever, you know.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, you might know this one since you're from Canada. Our Lady Peace.
Yes.
Are you familiar with
Yeah.
them? So
Chantel
they're one of my
Kraviazak. Yep.
they're one of my all-time favorites. They just
Yep.
his vocal is
Mhm.
one of the vocals that I pull from in my style. So if I had to
Rain
say
Rita.
what my Rain, he's insane. If I had to say what my style of singing is, it would be a mixture of Rain, Chris Martin from Coldplay, Matt Bellamy from Muse, and someone that
Wow.
most people won't know is a guy named Jay Clifford from Jump Little Children. That's actually my all-time favorite band. If you don't know Jump Little Children, they unfortunately just played their
Yeah.
last show of
They
their
just
careers.
split up.
And this time they're really split up. They've done this before and they've come back 10 years later, but this time they're going their separate ways. But Jay Clifford he's got the voice of an angel, and he's my biggest influence of all those. But if you take those four voices, put them together, and then add a splash of my own personal flavor, that's basically my voice.
What do you think of Chad Kroeger?
From Nickelback?
Yeah.
I'm just gonna say I don't love his voice.
Look at that photograph, you know. Really low.
Yeah, I
Sorry.
didn't know if you were
Yeah.
a fan or not, and I didn't want to offend, but yeah, I'm not a Nickelback person. Now I'll
No,
tell you
neither
another
am
one.
I.
I would love to do a collaboration with Imagine Dragons too. That would be another one that
Oh,
would
they're
just
a good
be
band.
dope. Or AJR.
Yes.
Yeah. I was thinking AJR earlier.
Yeah. So those
Yeah,
two
Dan
bands.
Reynolds.
Yeah.
I'm a big Imagine Dragons fan. Dan Reynolds, my favorite.
Imagine Dragons and AJR, a lot of their stuff has been influencing my newer music with that kind of electronic feel in the rock. And so that's been something I've been pulling from. Not that I'm, copying or anything like that. It's just been inspirational for me.
So, are you familiar with Brad Roberts from Crash Test Dummies? He's got that very low baritone voice like this.
I know Crash Test Dummies. I can't place a
Brad
song
Roberts,
by them.
baritone. He's got this really baritone bass voice, really low voice. Like never heard before. And of course, Dan Reynolds from Imagine Dragons is my favorite. And Muse, I was talking. Yeah, you said you like Muse. I like Muse too.
Oh yeah,
Yep.
yeah. They're insane. Back in my earlier 20s, I discovered Muse, and it literally, I'm not kidding, it literally changed my life because I was in a band. We were going in a direction, and I heard the song, and it was Hysteria, and I brought it to the band, and I said, throw away everything we've done, because if we're not making music like this, then we don't need to be making music. Like, what's the point? And they were like, yup, you're right. And so we scrapped, we'd been working for a couple months at that point. We literally scrapped everything and started writing all fresh songs, and it was life-changing.
That is amazing. What do you think of that, Kylie? Now you're inspired
That's pretty
to do more.
amazing. That's amazing.
Yeah. I think it's
Well,
excellent.
start from from scratch. Like start from new things. Throw things out. Be like, oh, I'm just starting from scratch, man.
Yep.
And that's what I was saying earlier. You can't be too attached to anything. I could write a song tomorrow that I think is great, and then a couple days later, I'm like, oh, maybe it's not that great, and I'll just trash it. It's whatever.
As creatives, though, you have to be able to throw away your work. You have to be able to spend hours and hours upon hours on something and be like, okay, this wasn't the best, and be able to toss it or completely recreate it or rebrand it.
Yeah, especially in our kind of business, where we have clients that we're trying to be creative for. And sometimes these clients have zero vision, but they know what they don't like very specifically.
When you show them something.
Yes. And so they're like, just do whatever you feel like. And we're like, okay. So we do what we feel like. And then they're like, no, that's not what I was thinking at all.
They're like, oh, it's beautiful. That was great. But I'm thinking.
But then all of a sudden they have all these great ideas.
Then their vision comes out.
But sometimes it takes them seeing something that they don't like to get their vision to come out. So you just can't be married to anything. You just throw away your babies and, just
keep
don't
going.
feel bad about it.
I don't suppose you do have kids then yet, eh?
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, yeah. We got 2 kids.
Oh, nice.
One is 12 and one just turned 8. And they
12.
are awesome. Yeah. 12-year-old
Wow.
girl and an 8-year-old boy.
That is amazing. Congratulations, you two. Great parents. And Wow, that's a marriage made in heaven, right? Come on, let's give them ready, Kylie.
Said
Let's
it
give them a
perfectly,
heart
Chris.
here.
Yes.
Um, that is wow. You're so inspirational. But what about the internet? Do you think the internet has impacted the music business at all? Like Kylie, do
Oh
you
my
think
gosh.
Oh yeah,
the
for
internet is
sure.
Holy cow.
like
Well, here's the problem is that entertainment is too accessible right now in general.
Mhm.
And that's a problem for the music industry because musicians can't make money off of their music anymore. You have to do all of this other stuff to make money versus just doing your craft, back in the 80s and 70s and
When there was
yeah,
CDs
when
and
there's records and
yeah.
albums and CDs and tapes and even like concerts, were a lot more pure. Now you can't go to a concert for less than $200 if you don't want to sit in the cheap seats. I mean, these Beyonce tickets were
Yeah.
outrageously expensive. And
Outrageous.
there's no
So much
reason for
Taylor
that
Swift
except
tickets too. Oh my gosh, they're very
Yeah.
expensive. Taylor Swift.
yes,
Yeah.
insane prices.
Yeah.
But the problem is this is the only way these people can make money. Now they're making way too much money with these ticket prices, but they have no other outlets because you're not getting anything from streaming. Nobody cares about your album anymore. They just want the single to go on their playlist. So they have to charge these outrageous prices for concerts now, which is putting the little people like myself and, people that are more local artists and that sort of thing, the independent ones, is putting us at a major disadvantage because we can't charge astronomical prices for tickets to come see our shows. And we're not making money from our music anymore. Nobody's buying our records. So we are at a place where, the local bars wanting to pay you $150 to come play for 3 hours instead of what it used to be, where you would go to a club and you would, get a $500 guarantee at least, and then you would sell merchandise and you'd sell your CDs and make another $1,000, $2,000 that night. And, like it was a different world back in the day. And so now it's just a bigger struggle for artists because everybody's consuming too much media too freely. You don't even have to go see your favorite band. You could just watch them on YouTube.
Yeah, I
That's true.
remember my dad just got tickets to see Beyonce for my mom for her birthday because she's the biggest Beyonce fan. And they're like super expensive. Like it's like similar to Taylor Swift. It's like her tickets sold out so fast. Like,
she broke Ticketmaster.
Yeah, her tickets were phenomenal. Like, and then like I saw like Ticketmaster literally shut down because how many people were on the website.
Yes. Yep.
Yeah. I mean, these tickets were going for like $900 for cheap seats.
Yeah.
Cheap seats.
Yeah.
$900. There's no artist in the world I'm paying $900 to go see in a cheap seat. If I'm paying $900, I better be sitting right next to them.
Yeah. Right.
What was that, Kylie?
It's like if I want to see my favorite artist and it's $900, I'd rather see them on a YouTube video than pay $900 plus
and
fees
barely
to
see
cheap
them.
seat. Yeah.
I'd buy for $4,000 if I could sing with them. Definitely.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, like I can just somebody sing or do something with them, but like just see.
I mean, are we going out to dinner together afterwards for
like,
$900?
It's another $1,000. But I mean, it's sort of like Sarah, like Sarah McLachlan did a online, I think during the pandemic, where she says that anybody can write a song and send it in, and she likes it. She'll have you over at her special island, and you can write a song together on a piano. I'm like, I like Sarah McLachlan, but to be alone with her, I don't know, maybe. But yeah, I mean, like the time wasn't good, especially in COVID. But oh, that's another thing. How did that affect you, wonderful people? How did the pandemic affect you?
It affected us a couple different ways.
Yeah.
I was teaching at the time, middle school, and that was terrible. And I no longer teach middle school.
To teach during the pandemic.
Yeah.
You have to think that all of these kids are at home. Their parents are still trying to work or trying to work from home, and they're trying to get this new normal that they were talking about.
Nobody gives a crap about anything.
Yeah, the kids wouldn't even show up to class. They would literally turn on the laptops and then walk away, but you couldn't do anything about it as a teacher.
As long as they showed up, they got 100 per the administration in our district.
Yes.
So we couldn't even we
Yeah.
couldn't do anything. So our hands were completely tied. So that aspect of it was terrible.
They
However,
learned nothing.
that caused me to get frustrated with being a teacher, which moved me out of that lane of my employment. And so for us, though, COVID was amazing.
Well, it changed completely the direction of our lives. Because before that, like I was saying earlier, I was traveling so much and I was constantly going and I was doing all these events and just kind of all over the US. And COVID really helped me just stop and breathe for a second. And then that was our chance to really meet each other because we had both slowed down. We stopped a little bit and we were able to kind of join our lives together and then now really build what we have going on right now. So I don't want to belittle COVID because I know a lot of people lost their lives, through the pandemic. But I do want to say that a lot of people have come out of the other side and that they are stronger and they're braver and they're wiser and they've realized really what is important to them. And that's what I feel like that a lot of people was missing before that. What's important now? What is important in your life? What do you want? What do you want out of life? Like we said earlier, do you want to be at a 9-to-5 all day or, do you want to be healthy, happy, and free? And that's what we want to be. We want to be healthy, happy, and free, and whatever that looks like.
And a lot of people woke up during COVID and are starting to realize, some of the things that we've been talking about all night, how all this stuff is happening. We really woke up a lot during that time period. And we used that time that we had that was a little slower to do a lot of personal development and searching within ourselves. And though we've always been positive people, we've always been good people, this really took us to another level of realizing what we are here on this earth to do, and that's to leave a legacy behind us of positivity and to change the world in any way that we can to make it the best place possible.
That's true because the pandemic actually affected a lot of musicians. It affected opera singers because they could no longer perform. But people like Chris Mann and Randy Rainbow and others were putting on concerts. I think Randy Rainbow or Chris Mann did a lot of parodies, and they did all their stuff online. And Kylie, you started your podcast amidst the pandemic as well. So it all affected us in a way. It's like, what are we going to do? And it's funny, but 2 months before the pandemic, we were asked at work if we wanted to work at home, and we said no. And then suddenly the pandemic happened, so I guess we are. So we're working from home for 2 years.
Like it or not.
I don't want to say it was nice because people lost their lives and other, but I've learned a lot. And you just gotta bend when you can't bend, and you got to make that vision come true, and we're going to make it happen. And pandemic made it happen. So,
Yep.
and I have a few more questions. Kylie, sorry, my apologies. Kylie, do you have a couple more questions you want to ask?
Yeah, I have one more question for Jessie. So I wanted to ask you, like guys, you really started kind of liking music at 3 years old. Like how has kind of liking music at 3 years kind of impacted your journey as a singer-songwriter?
Oh man. So my dad, he had a limited knowledge of keyboards and he taught me 4 chords: C, A minor, F, and G. So these are the chords, like if you heard that old song Heart and Soul, the dun 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 dun. If you're familiar with piano, everybody plays it. So those are the chords that go behind it, right? So that progression in musical terms is 1, 6, 4, 5 if you're doing the Nashville number system. So this number system is how musicians think of in music theory terms. That's the most famous chord progression series that there is. 1, 6, 4, 5 in any order. 1, 4, 6, 5, 1, 4, 5, 6, whatever. You can mix it up, but those chords are the most popular of all time. They're in almost every song. So what that did when I was a young child at 3 years old is it started training my ear. So then we would be out at a restaurant and my dad would say, "Hey, Jessie, what progression are they playing?" And I would say, C, A minor, F, and G. And you would go, yes. And so then I would start to recognize that pattern. And then what that did for me is it helped me to start recognizing patterns in music just in general. And so then when I, started actually learning the technical aspects of it, I was able to see those patterns real quick, and I would just be able to memorize stuff and understand it a lot quicker. I would listen to the radio and immediately be able to figure out a song that's playing on the radio because I know the patterns. I know the theory that goes behind it. And when you understand music theory, it's like opening up a window to all of this stuff and like taking the blinders off. We're like, oh, I see exactly what they're doing. And so now when I'm listening to music, I'm analyzing every part of it, which is why I don't really listen to a lot of music in my free time, because I'm so consumed with analyzing it that it's work for me. It's very hard for me to just sit and enjoy music. So for me, starting at such a young age literally just shaped the rest of my life. I don't know who I would be, where I'd be, what I would be doing if it weren't for music. Music saved me, not just from living a life that I probably would have regretted, but probably saved my life because, like I said, in middle school, I had no friends. I was extremely depressed. I hated everything about myself, but I found my solace in music. And music gave me the voice that I didn't have in my life. It gave me the ability to speak in a way that I could be heard instead of people just ignoring me. And so it literally changed everything about who I am. And for a while, years ago, I'd done construction work and I sucked up a lot of black mold and lost my voice for probably 3 months. And I could not sing at all. Like my highest note is usually like a B flat full voice. And this brought my highest note down to like an F sharp, which is just insanely low. And I didn't know what to do. My whole identity was wrapped up in being a musician. If I can't sing, who am I? And I had to come to the place and realize that even though music has been such a huge part of my life and it's been the thing that's driven me for the majority of my life, I'm first and foremost me. And that's unexplainable. It's undefinable. There is nothing that you could put a pin in it and say, this is Jessie. But music is just a part of that. And just like with everything else in my life, I have to hold loosely to that even because that could be taken away at any moment. I could get into a bad accident, lose the use of both my hands. I can't play music then. So I have to understand that music is something that I love. It's a passion. I enjoy it. It is one of my greatest pleasures. However, I am just as good and worthy and me without that than I am if I have it. And so people need to realize that about whatever it is that you're into. If you're a sports player or if you have whatever your skill is, you're not defined by that thing, and you shouldn't let anything define you because you can be flexible and pliable. And if I lost my voice and the use of both my hands today, I would find a way to still be creative and to use the gifts that I have, even if that wasn't through music.
I knew someone who played the drums with his feet because he was born without arms. And you can do anything. It doesn't matter whether you lose your arms, your legs. You can do anything. You just have to find a different way of doing it. It's sort of amazing. But it's true. And I know that during the dark times, like I always sing to release my anger and release my frustration. I love singing cover songs. I love just humming and stuff like that. And how about you, Kylie? What would you do to release your anger or your frustration? Do you do anything?
Definitely, like I usually like to dance it out, or I play music. I like to play a lot of music. I usually like stressed or overworked or having anxiety about working too much or school or podcasting. I have too much on my plate. Sometimes I just sit back, put on my earphones and just listen to a lot of music that I like and makes me very energized. And once I calm down, I go back to what I was doing or just go downstairs, go for a walk. I usually sometimes go for an hour walk or meditate. I love meditating as well. So those are kind of some things, but music is really my main thing.
That is
I actually
awesome,
do a lot
Kylie.
of painting whenever I'm in like a space. I will stop everything that I'm doing and kind of go do drawing or painting. We have a whole painting section set up in our Zindan. So anytime I ever want to go paint, I just go do that.
That is amazing. Yeah. I have a couple more questions. Kylie, have any more questions? Or shall we end with 2 more questions?
I have one final question from Alyssa.
Sure.
Like as you and Jessie are doing the Redeeming Success podcast, which is about redefining success, and like in what means to you. Like I wanted to ask you, like, why is redefined success so important to today's society and for you guys' work as well?
Yeah, it's really important. That's a great question, because success is so defined right now as your bank account, your cars. Do you have a nice car? Do you have a pool? Like, success is defined right now in material possessions. And that's not how we're defining success. Our podcast is called Reimagine Success. And it's Reimagine Success because we are redefining what success looks like. It's not about material possessions. It's not about what you have. It's about how you feel and what you're doing with your life. Can you go to bed at the end of the night and be rested and peaceful because you're actually doing something great for the world? Reimagine Success. We bring on guests that are actually doing a lot of changes in this world, and they're doing a lot of changes for humanity, for everything that's going on. We just had the Ray, which is the Ray Highway, and they were on our podcast recently. They're actually reusing old tires and changing the roads from asphalt to tires, reusing tires. Now, tires, it's generation after generation, and they'll finally start, breaking down. But tires do not break down. And we go through tires. There's like landfills and landfills and landfills of tires. So what they're doing is they're actually taking these tires and they are repurposing them for highways. And we're in Georgia. So there's a mile interstate on I-85 that is already completely changed. And it is using these rubber roads. They're actually incorporating solar panels into the sides of the highway. So not only will you drive your car and it'll reduce the wear on your tires, but it's also going to charge your car if you have, and it won't put any of that pressure on the energy grid. So we bring on guests just like this who are actually making real differences in the world, who are making big changes, because that's what we want to do at the end of the day. We want to redefine what success is. It doesn't matter about your bank or your car or your house. None of that matters. What matters is, what are you doing with your life, and what are you doing for this world and for humanity?
Yeah, so stop keeping up with the Joneses.
Yep.
Stop thinking that you have to be something that you're not. Stop putting the pretty face on Instagram when your life is a mess, and start figuring out what your passions are, what you want your life to be, and then go for it.
Yes. And redefine success.
Yes.
You just show a pretty face, or you go and you find a Maserati and you lean up against it, like people say, "Oh, this is mine," stuff like that. And TikTok famous, stuff like that, really ridiculous. But you make money. Is that considered a job or not? But so I want to ask, so what is the best advice you've been given?
Oh, that's a good question.
I think for me, I think for me, the best advice is to be real, to be authentic, and to not be overwhelmed in life. Just bite the apple one piece at a time. A lot of times we're trying to do so much in life. Just keep doing one thing at a time, but always be real and be present in that moment. And if you're present and you're leading from your heart, then everything else in life will follow.
I think for me, it's be afraid, but do it anyway. If you're not a little scared of what you're trying to do, then it's probably not worth doing. And you, Kylie?
The best advice, as I keep going, kind of like what Jessie said, is that if you don't like what you're doing, just find something you do like, even though you don't know what your passion is. Just take your time, go on a trip, find something inspirational, like a podcast, interviews, listen to music, whatever you find inspirational, and just take your time because you'll find your passion eventually. I never had confidence when I was young. I didn't know what I wanted to be until during the pandemic, because during the pandemic, I had a lot of time. So it's things like the pandemic, you need to sit down and be like, okay, well, what do I want to do with my life? Do I want to go to college? Do I want to do this podcasting forever? Do I want to start a business? You just need to take some time, whatever it's 5-10 minutes a day, or an hour a day, a couple hours a day. However, how long you ever want to sit down and wait, because not a lot of people have time in their day to kind of sit down, but you should take some time, even though you have a busy day, figure out okay, well, am I happy with what I do, or do I want to keep doing this, or is it good for my mental health?
Yes.
So my advice is to go forward. No matter what's ahead, no matter what, just go forward.
Keep
And
pushing.
even
Yeah.
keep pushing, even if you hit a brick wall or you trip or like a runner, you jump over these hurdles and you fall, or you're climbing a mountain and you struggle. Like look at the spider, for instance. It'll create this beautiful web, and then the rain will tumble down and destroy the web. And what does it do? Does it go, wah? No, it just creates it until it keeps creating the web no matter what. So you got to keep doing it. And I know people are going to watch this. They're going to message me and say, listen, Chris, you don't take your own advice. Do you mind just taking your own advice? But I should start taking my own advice, especially here.
Do it.
Do it.
Damn it,
Just
Jim.
do it.
You know?
Be like Nike.
Yes. Yes. Go forward. Thank you. No, this is awesome. I really appreciate you guys coming on the podcast. And thank you, Kylie, for undertaking the co-host. And so what we're going to do is we're going to end the stream and say goodbye. I know it's been, an hour and 45 minutes. Wow, that's great. I'm so happy that you guys wanted to stay. And thank you, Kylie, for staying and everything. So let us say goodbye. We're going to end this recording. Bye, everyone.
Bye.
Bye.